No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our social media platforms and our YouTube channel, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show presented by our friends at Play Now. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss the not 1-0, not 2-0, not 3-0, not 4-0, not 5-0, but the 6-0 Winnipeg Jets, victorious tonight, 3-2 in the show me state of Missouri, as the Jets go in and knock off the Blues on the strength of a 3-goal second period. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this Tuesday evening. The question clearly on everyone's mind is, when will this Winnipeg Jets team cease to continue winning? Because the good times just keep on rolling.
According to Dave, it's not this Dave, it's Dave in the chat. It's 82-0, so the answer is never.
There you go. That would do it, 82-0. But I saw somebody say 82-0, and then we're corrected in the chat, and somebody said, no, 98-0. That would, of course, win them the Stanley Cup. And I think that's just math, folks. I'm not a mathematician. We leave that to Ezzy's dad. But I'm pretty sure once you're 6-0, there you go. Warren puts it up there, 98-0. Once you're 6-0, it's just math that you become 98-0, right, Ezzy?
Exactly. And regardless of when the Jets lose for the first time, like, this is just fun, right? Like, the Jets, like we talked about, not only have they never started 6-0 in 2.0 or 1.0 history, they've never started off 4-0 in 1.0 or 2.0 history, right? So, look, guys, this game, and we're going to get into the goals, right, in the Play Now game recap, but this was as much of a grinder, as Paul Maurice used to call it, as you'll ever see, right? Like, this was a close game. And you mentioned, Drew, the 3 goals in the second period. That's where the Jets really took over. Like, the Jets were by far the better team in the second period, right? And obviously, Nino Niederreiter got everything going with that beautiful tip. And again, we'll wait to the Play Now game recap to get into that. But this is just, I think, there's something about this game that's maybe the most impressive of all 6 wins, right? Like, obviously, most people would point to the season opener, guys, and say, like, okay, that was like, we talked about it. That was a butt whooping, 6-0 in Edmonton. And then obviously the wins over Chicago and Minnesota, less impressive. The game against San Jose was obviously a butt whooping as well. But then you would say, okay, but that's against one of the worst teams in the league. Game against Pittsburgh, okay, they had a poor start. They had to come back. They were down 2 goals. Pretty impressive, though, still, doing that against Crosby, Malkin, and all of them, right? But this game, it really started off sluggish for the Jets. Like, they only had a few good chances in the first period. I thought especially the first kind of 8 to 10 minutes, they didn't have a lot going on. And then it kind of looked like, maybe the Blues were going to go up a couple goals, right, Dave? But they came out in the second period, and they really fought through some tight checking, got a power play goal. I thought Kyle Connor was really struggling with the puck. Like, again, we'll get into the first goal that was scored by Brandon Saad, but he obviously lost a battle to Colton Parayko there before the goal was scored by Saad. But, I mean, a big shot from Colin Miller, goal from Kyle Connor. Like, to me, this was just a game in which they found a way to win. They hung on. Obviously, Hellebuck made some big saves, as he usually does. But a pretty impressive win to keep the streak alive.
Well, and as he talks about sort of the sluggish first period, and he's right about that. And I mean, the Jets, I don't think it was a bad first period, but St. Louis was the better of the two teams through 20 minutes. Not decisively one-sided, but probably was the case. But then Adam Lowry, with that big hit in the blue zone to start the second period, sort of changed the tone and maybe got the team a little bit of the proverbial smelling salts without actually using the smelling salts to get them going in that second period, Dave. I mean, I just thought that the Jets said, okay, bad first period, similar to what they did in the Pittsburgh game. I mean, and we talked about that on Sunday's post game show. Is he drinking that bubbly or making love to it? I'm not 100% sure which he's doing. But
I was going to say the Jets win was so great that I'm enjoying it with the bubbly.
I was going to say you really seem to be enjoying. I hope all you're going to do is drink that bubbly. It was getting a little romantic there for a second or
Drew,
two.
let's be honest. That's the closest thing to water that you'll ever see go down my throat.
It's true. That's a good point. But again, Dave, the Jets find a way to get through the sort of the sluggishness. They find a way to get through the sort of the slow, developing parts of their game, and then they begin to take over. It's just the sign of a good team that works through their process, and there's no panic. There's no cheating the game. All the cliches. I mean, they're cliches for a reason. It's because they're fairly accurate, and I thought the Jets did that well today as well in finding their game.
I don't think there's any question. I think that you guys have both said it real well, so I'll try not to stumble over any of the same points. One of the things that I want to point out, because I thought, well, Phyllis actually pointed it out, but she's right. 12 points in the standings bank. That is so significant to already have. And it's funny because Nashville currently beating Boston. If Nashville lost, they would have ended the evening 12 points back of the Winnipeg Jets. That would have been shocking, right?
Did anybody see the score in the Blue Jackets Leafs game?
I saw it was one-sided, but
it was 4-1 or 5-1.
7-2.
7-2.
Well, there are a lot of the games though. Tampa Bay smoked New Jersey. Montreal.
And by the way, for those who aren't aware who that was 7-2 for, it was for the Blue Jackets.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know what that is. If you lose 7-2 to your opponent, especially when that opponent is the Blue Jackets, that's just the opponent. It was 6-2. The Rangers beat the Canadiens 6-2, but the Blue Jackets beat the Maple Leafs 6-2, and that's just
6-2.
Yeah, your point is the same. 6-2, 7-2, not a big difference. That's the Maple Leafs not taking their opponent seriously. Exactly. That's what that is. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Leafs here.
This isn't Leafs lunch.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
This is my time to shine.
Okay, so keep talking there.
Yeah, unless O-Dog pops on, this isn't Leafs lunch.
Exactly. Even when O-Dog comes on, he wants to talk Jets. He doesn't want to talk the Leafs. The point is that this is, to me, this felt a lot like that Pittsburgh game, Drew, that we talked about on Sunday. This was a team that, and by the way, Ezzy, I don't know if you heard, we did give you kudos on, I did at least, saying that Eric Comrie was going to get the start. You predicted it on Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So
I didn't listen. I was parenting, but
I know, but I made sure everybody knew that you made that prediction.
Well, it's also because I texted you guys that. I literally texted Dave and Drew. Yeah. Can you guys please mention it, please? I'm so desperate to stay relevant.
I didn't do that for that reason. But anyways, it felt like that Pittsburgh game where it was a bit sluggish. There weren't a ton of chances in the opening period, and then eventually, in that second, Pittsburgh came out, punching hard, and Scott O'Neill talked about it before they left for St. Louis, and the Jets responded. And similarly, it felt like, again, the Blues got that goal. They kind of had the momentum. They kept pushing. The Jets got some saves, and then eventually they started to push back. And credit to Cole Perfetti, another big game by him. That's just the third time in his young career that he's had a 3-assist game, all in the second period. So
he was play that he made on Brandon Saad in the third period, lifting his stick when the Blues had all of that pressure. That was, I think, I don't even know if Bennington was pulled at that point. There was I forget how much time was left. Maybe 3 minutes left on the clock.
He was still in the net, but he made a nice defensive box out where he protected the front of the net and didn't let. I don't remember which Blues player it was, but I saw Perfetti, and I was like, he's holding the ball. He's keeping them away from the front of the net, and that's important. That's the thing you want to see from that player. So it not only is he facilitating and making real great passes, but in addition to that, he was doing a lot of things defensively that you liked. And that line overall, I mean, there were a couple of hiccups, but for the most part, that line I thought was good again this evening. So to me, again, another sign of a mature team, a team that doesn't panic, Drew, a team that seems to be calm, cool, collected. Power play strikes again. The penalty kill looked good, even when they're defending against
timely penalty kills.
That's right. And even when they're defending 6-on-5, I thought they were for the most part pretty good. So look, you don't win the Stanley Cup in October, although we're getting close to November here, folks. But 6-0-0 for these Winnipeg Jets, just like everyone predicted. I would be happy to admit I thought 5-0 was possible. I'm not sure I predicted 6-0, maybe more. So we'll see.
I might be wrong about this too, but are the Jets not undefeated in Seattle?
Like in the history,
I don't think
of return.
I know it's only been 2 years plus, but I don't think the Jets have ever lost in Seattle Someone might correct me on that one.
Somebody can fact check that and bring it to our attention.
Yeah,
in the chat.
who's the Daniel Dale of the IC
I'm a little
chat?
concerned that Pustain wants, if the Jets go 82-0, can we get an IC foot cam for a stream? Like,
I always thought Pustain had a foot fetish.
I can pull my foot out right here,
fetish.
but let's try and keep this above just the IC's like what's that
up.
show? No, what was the
who wants
they were
to
just
see our
heads?
hairy feet? Like, that's a weird comment.
What was it? Oh, Futurama. You know, where you're just heads. So
was there just an earthquake in you? Was there just an earthquake in your?
I got excited. I smashed the table.
I was gonna see it. All of a sudden, the camera's shaking a little bit. Things getting excited. Dave's fired up as he's manicuring his feet. Everything's happening on the post.
The Jets are 6-0-0. We're approaching 400 in the chat early. So let's keep this thing rolling and make sure you're subscribed to our channel and make sure you're smashing that like button, folks.
And also make sure that you're subscribed to our Foot Spinoff Instagram account.
Illegalbunions.com is the name of the website. Rasmus Kupari got back in the lineup tonight. We'll get into the goal-by-goal recap, the Betway game recap coming up here in a couple minutes. I thought Rasmus Kupari had a really strong game for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. I know, Ezzy, that you were already joking about the fact I'm going to comment about that because I tweeted it, but it's true. I just thought that he was noticeable and that you saw.
I was just jealous that you put it out there first.
Thank you. I appreciate that. He was noticeable sometimes playing with other guys. You saw it on a couple different occasions where he was out on the ice, I think, for faceoffs alongside Vlad Nemesnikov and help me out here, and Ehlers when Perfetti wasn't out there, and they were just for faceoffs. I thought Kupari had a really strong game. Looked like a guy to me who doesn't want to be the first man out of the lineup when the Jets need to go to a 13th forward or when they need to cycle guys in.
I was giving you a hard time on X/Twitter, but I mean, you're right. I mean, look, Gustafsson, I think, was fine against the Penguins, but I think that was more so, and Scott Arniel mentioned this, right, boys, like that they wanted to get Gus Bus into one game because of course he hadn't played the first 4 games, right? So, and there was, I don't know if that had to do something with Nemesnikov was favoring his wrist or his hand. So I'm not sure what was going on there. But Kupari was getting some double duty on that second line in addition to the fourth line. And again, guys, I thought the fourth line was noticeable too. Morgan Barron had a couple scoring chances in the second period. Obviously, he didn't convert either of them. But in limited minutes, that line looked good as well. So again, the Jets keep on winning, and we should mention, like, nobody wants to see Gustafsson as the 13th forward. Obviously, he wants to get back in the lineup, but the reality is Kupari is playing so well that there's no justification for taking him out of the lineup. And that's a good thing, right? Because last year, we talked about it. He had the injury. He only played in, whatever it was, 28, 29 games. He didn't score a goal. So you like to see that. And it just keeps making the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. It keeps looking better and better and better the more Kupari plays, right? Because we already know what Velarde and Iafallo can do. That's no secret. Obviously, Velarde's still looking for his first goal of the year, but he'll obviously get that pretty soon. But yeah, Kupari, full marks, Drew. Like, I've been impressed. Like, he's been noticeable. He's been using his speed, and you forget that he's a big boy too. Like, he can throw his weight around too, and separate the body from the puck. So
he has a heavier.
He's been a nice little surprise,
and he demonstrated that shot. It didn't go in or anything. It wasn't a goal, but he had a good shot on Binnington that was harder and heavier than I think any of us sort of expected. And he released. You can see a player playing with a lot of confidence, and when you play with confidence, you have that jump, and you feel as though there's more for you to give in your game. So he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing in that fourth line role for the Winnipeg Jets. A fourth line. Let me just find the numbers real quick. 71% is their Corsi for in today's game at 5-on-5. So pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
That's right. Pretty good indeed. And then you see him playing with that level of confidence, and it's only going to keep increasing if he keeps playing the way he has been so far. We say good evening to over 430 of you joining us live right now on our YouTube channel. We do this after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and we do this again on Saturday mornings as we have for the last 15 plus years. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. It's the Play Now game recap.
the Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Please, please, please enjoy responsibly.
We're going to need more Bort license plates. More Bort license plates. Great comment by Bart. Smash the like button.
Okay, there you go. Exactly. Smash the like button like Bart/Bort said, and be sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. That way you won't miss an episode of our Illegal Curve broadcasts. The St. Louis Blues, they were the better team to start the game, had a little more jump as we've touched on so far during this post-game show. Brandon Saad opens the scoring for the St. Louis Blues at the 10-11 mark of the first period. Assist to Robert Thomas and Colton Parayko. It's a nice play by Saad. The Jets get a little bit running around in their own zone. They lose track of him. He's left all alone in front of the net. The Jets, you could see, combination of a well-executed pick by the St. Louis Blues to free up Saad and pick off the defender, but also the Jets fail to switch properly. Pionk goes chasing a little bit. Scheifele, I think, was supposed to probably pivot back to take Saad in front of Connor Hellebuyck, but he got picked off a little bit, and you can see Velarde hollering for the guys to better execute the defensive switch. They don't do it in this one. Brandon Saad, he knows how to score at the NHL level. He makes no mistake giving the Blues a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, no, that's a good summary of the goal. And was it Ryan Suter who had the pick? I forget who had the pick there, but I made the note and I rewatched it several times. And I mentioned this earlier. Before Robert Thomas gets that puck and brings it back up high to the blue line. It
was Suter who had the pick.
Yeah. So and I mean that's legal, right? Like that shouldn't have been interference. It's what Kevin Sawyer was calling a soft pick. I mean, It's borderline interference, to be honest with you, but. What I wanted to mention was Kyle Connor has a 50-50 puck battle at the blue line. The puck comes around to him, and he doesn't get it out. He kind of backhands it, and you know, I don't want to pick on him, but it was a play where you either have to get that puck past Thomas or you have to be a little bit harder on that puck. Then Parayko puts the shot on net. It misses the net. Robert Thomas picks it up, as we talked about. And then it's just a little bit of kind of a scrambly defensive play, as Drew mentioned. Mm-hmm. And Pionk's a little bit out of position, and Thomas puts the puck on net. And it's a rebound, and there's nothing Hellebuyck can do about it there because Brandon Saad is left wide open. So just kind of, you know, a combination of, you know, Connor's not able to get the puck out. The Jets are scrambling around a little bit. And then Robert Thomas just is smart and he puts the puck on net and Saad puts it in. So nothing too high level to dissect on that one, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want me to keep on going, but like, it's just unfortunate because again, it's trying to execute that switch. They were just a smidge too late. And that's what happens. And maybe you don't want to blame it on being on the road, but again, like I said,
and they've usually been pretty good with their communication in their own zone this year.
That's what I was going to get to. I was going to say, like, for the most part, this team has been pretty good in terms of, you know, covering, right, Ezzy? That's one of the things we've noticed about them is that they've been playing like a 5-man unit. So if you notice Pionk is up in the play, there's usually a forward who's getting back. So for the most part, this team's been pretty consistent in that regard. This was an instance where it doesn't, and it ends up in the back of your net, unfortunately, for them.
And Drew, I wanted to mention two things, like, if I can, that happened before that goal, like not even on that play, but I just thought were interesting. I made a note that Hellebuyck had a really good save, like a minute 15 or something in. Robert Thomas had a one-timer, and Hellebuyck made a right pad save. But the one thing that I thought was really notable is before that goal was scored, the Nemesnikov line was out there. And it was Morrissey and DeMello who were the D pair. And I made a note because it was a set play off of the faceoff where Nemesnikov won the faceoff. It went back to Morrissey. Then Ehlers came back to the point, and there was a give and go. I don't know if you guys remember this. I just wanted to point this out.
Really nice give and go.
Where Morrissey passed it to Ehlers, who went back to the point. Then Ehlers passed it back up to Morrissey along the boards. And then Perfetti moved into the slot. And Morrissey fed him a pass. I just thought that was really interesting. Something to look at. Like, that to me is why the Nemesnikov line, even though they didn't score a goal there and Binnington made the save, the reason why I bring it up is because when those guys are on the ice, especially if Morrissey's back there, because let's be honest here, I mean, like, Samberg can make that type of play, but Morrissey's obviously the most talented offensive defenseman on this team. I just made a note of that. I thought it was a really nifty set play that didn't result in a goal, but I just thought it was almost like a sign of things to come from that line.
Well, and as you know, it's funny because I thought the same thing. I didn't make a note of it other than a mental note. I didn't write it down like you did, but I did take note of it because it really was, it's something we see them executing in practice. And it was very clearly that was a set play that they did, and they executed it well. You're right. Doesn't result in a goal, but that's the kind of reward you're going to get for, again, you try a little bit of not necessarily trickery, but you try something that you've been working on, and it worked. Well, like I said, absent scoring.
It's not your typical win the face-off back to the defenseman, and the defenseman slaps the puck around the boards, and you go in and you try to establish a forecheck. It was a really set play that almost you really only see when the Jets are on the power play, right? But it was 5-on-5. So just wanted to make a note of that. But let's get back into the actual goals that happened in the second.
Well, the goals did happen in the second. The Jets had to kill off a penalty late in the first period. Josh Morrissey went to the box for hooking. That penalty went from the end of the first period into the second period. The Jets, as I mentioned, successfully kill it off, and then they get their own power play opportunity. They get two of them in the second period. Ryan Suter is off for tripping. That's early in the second, shortly after the Morrissey penalty expires. Jets don't get anything on that power play, but they do on their second power play. This is with Braden Shen in the box for holding. It's Nino Niederreiter. He gets his second of the season, the first with a goalie in the net. Assist to Neil Pionk and Cole Perfetti. And this is just a good power play execution by the Jets. They get a clean zone entry. They get the puck in deep. Perfetti goes. He wins a puck battle below the boards, back up to Pionk. Pionk with the shot towards the net, and Nino Niederreiter, they say tie up a stick. Well, I mean, there was no blue player anywhere near him to tie up a stick. And he has a great deflection, beating Jordan Binnington to tie the game up at 1. And after that sluggish start by the Winnipeg Jets, you saw them sort of begin to find their game in that second period, and then they get the tying goal at the 8:12 mark of the second, Ezzy.
Yeah, and I'll go to Dave here because I think Dave thought you were going to him because sometimes Drew alternates, right, Dave?
Oh yeah, usually alternates.
I guess I
you like to keep us on our toes, but we weren't sure who you were going to there.
I'm just gonna mute myself, or maybe I should stop my cam. Who knows?
Yeah, you mentioned for us hockey nerds, we like to talk about the zone entries and the zone exits a lot, but it was a clean zone entry from the second power play unit. Obviously, Perfetti gets it back to Pionk, and you're right. Like Broberg was the defenseman. On the left side defenseman on that penalty kill for the Blues, and he's kind of in no man's land. Like he's kind of respecting Perfetti, but he's kind of like he just leaves Niederreiter alone. And so for me, this goal is just a beautiful tip by Niederreiter. There's not much more to it. Like we know Pionk has a lot of a great playmaking ability, and he's able to kind of saucer those shots in nicely. But it's so hard for Binnington, right? Because he's kind of moving the other way, and Niederreiter tips it to his right. So it was just a really, really solid tip. And you like to see that second unit get a power play goal, right? Because obviously, you expect, the Scheifeleys, the Connors, the Velardis to get all the power play goals, but you want to have that second power play unit clicking as well. So I just checked. Niederreiter was only credited for 2 hits. I thought I was expecting to see like 5 hits or 6 hits. I thought he was great tonight. Aside from just that power play goal, I thought he was the best player on that third line. Not to say that Lowry and Appleton were slouches. I just thought Niederreiter was using his physicality and just doing what you expect him to do. Go to the net. That's his office, right? And he got rewarded with the beauty there on the first Jets goal.
Yeah, I would agree with most everything you just said. He seemed like he was bigger and stronger tonight than a lot of the Blues players. And on this goal, you can see that Suter and Broberg are there's just a huge gap, a huge space between the front of the net where Niederreiter is and where both of the defenders are in the.
It's like the space in my teeth, Drew.
Yeah, well, that's a big gap, and there's no braces involved for anybody. But the Jets will say thank you very much. And Nino Niederreiter is very adept at tipping pucks, as he demonstrated on that goal to tie it up at 1-1 at that point in the second period. And it only takes about 5 minutes.
Drew, I just want the one thing I would have said if I would have actually had a chance to speak, for God's sakes, on this post-game show. The only thing I was going to say is that you got to credit Nino Niederreiter and his veteran kind of savvy for recognizing that there was a complete absence of any of the Blues in front of the net, because he was in the corner with Perfetti. And then he recognizes that and then gets over. And the only other thing I was going to say is Niederreiter probably had about 3 or 4 chances in the Penguins game to score goals. And so you kind of felt like he was going to be due. So it's a good goal for him, and it's an important goal for him to get that reward. So that's all I would add if I was to be so lucky to add something to
We'll let you add something to it. On occasion, we'll let you add something. This is one of those occasions. The Jets take their first lead of the game 5 minutes and 46 seconds later at the 13:58 mark of the second period. Colin Miller gets his first as a member of the Winnipeg Jets, and in keeping with illegal curve tradition, when you get your first as a member of the Winnipeg Jets, you also get this tremendous honor.
Love it.
The Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game goes to Colin Miller for his first goal. Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show and the Illegal Curve post-game show. Fireball is one of the great Seagram's products. It tastes like heaven, and it burns like hell. Miller, his first assist to Perfetti and Ehlers, but it starts in the Jets' own zone. It starts with Logan Stanley with a good clean zone exit. He finds Vlad Nemesnikov. Nemesnikov with the pass to Ehlers. Ehlers in deep to Perfetti, and then Perfetti using the vision to find Miller, who walks into one. A Miller genuine blast, if you will, and it gives the Jets a 2-1 lead. I think that shot was somewhere around 94 miles an hour, if I recall correctly from the broadcast. But we know he can shoot it as hard as anybody on the Winnipeg Jets, and you got to see him unleash it with that goal, Dave.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It was interesting, though, because you've been wanting to see that big shot. We've been, folks have been saying you need to have that guy who has that cannon, right, Ezzy? And Colin Miller certainly does. And if you don't believe us or what you saw with your own lying eyes, make sure you check out Mike McIntyre wrote an article about the physics of Colin Miller's shot, which was in the Winnipeg Free Press a little while back, but I know Mike tweeted it. So if you didn't read it in the morning papers, worth checking out there. But look, I mean, it's exactly what Jets fans have wanted to see since Dustin Byfuglien, right? Is the fact that you have someone who has a big, heavy shot and uses it from the point. Josh Morrissey has a good shot. He can get it through. Same with DeMello and Pionk, but they don't have the heaviness that Miller does. And so it's an interesting play because it doesn't really look, it's fairly innocuous, right? Like the Jets don't look threatening on this play. And yet they somehow manifest that very quickly with Ehlers and Perfetti kind of syncing up. And, credit Scott Arniel because he was asked, I guess, on Monday's media availability, just in terms of like his philosophy about keeping lines together, not breaking them up. Because up until game 3, it seemed like there was a good reason to break up the Nemesnikov, Ehlers, and Perfetti line. He didn't. And of course, you're winning, which, as we talked about on our various shows the last few days, allows you to have a little more latitude than you may have if you were losing those games. But he kept them together, and you saw the results. So the results are the chemistry continues to build with those guys. And so, really, like Perfetti's vision, and Ezzy, we've been talking about Perfetti's vision since he was drafted in 2020, but his vision is beyond. And so,
get it, Dave? Vision drafted in 2020.
And that's it. Ezzy's going to be out of here, folks.
See, Drew knows when to use a slow clap. You don't just start a slow clap whenever. You got to time a slow clap.
Well, he timed it well. But the fact is that I couldn't tell if the Blues forward took away Binnington's eyes on the shot. But I mean, this shot is because it really doesn't look like there's not much of a screen.
No,
right?
There's not. It's a huge, heavy shot, but I do think that you want your goalie to make that save because even a rocket, that doesn't have a screen on it should be saved at the NHL level. I mean, maybe who's that? 76 for the St. Louis Blues.
That's Zach Bolduc. It was the Blues' second line, the Buchnevich line.
Yeah,
and I understand what Dave is trying to say there. He comes out and he does the old kind of like.
He does
puts the legs together. Yeah, exactly. The flamingo. That's a better word for it than I was going to use. I was struggling there, Drew, but I agree with what Dave said there on kind of this looked like kind of innocuous, right? Like you're right. Drew Stanley, gets the play going in his own zone, and then Ehlers comes in with speed, makes a nice little backhand pass to Perfetti. But again, the Blues have 4 players back, so it's not like this is like a 3-on-2 or something like that. It's just Perfetti knowing, okay, Miller's coming across the blue line, get him the puck, and it's a beautiful shot. And you could say that Binnington's got to stop that, but like Drew said, this isn't like an average slap shot. Miller had the I'm pretty sure, like someone that should fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure he had the hardest recorded shot last year for the Devils.
He did.
Or it was like the second hardest recorded shot. So, this is, a guy that has one of the hardest shots in the league. So it's easy to say, Binnington should have had that one, but it's also it was placed in the right spot. So it's easy to say because he scored, but I agree with Dave's comment there. Perfetti's had nice vision there, and you just love to see again Perfetti's line, Mesnikov's line, whatever you want to call it, Ehlers' line. They did all of their damage against the San Jose Sharks, and they did more damage tonight against the Blues. But again, just because it's against a weaker opponent doesn't mean that you're going to apologize for it, right? So I think it's a really good sign for the Jets because the Scheifele line was clearly on tonight. The Nemesnikov line was playing good. I think really, this was one of those games where you'd say all 4 forward lines were playing pretty well. It wasn't their best game ever, but it was a pretty solid game. So, I mean, that goal, guys, obviously turned the momentum because at that point, it was a very tight game, and you're thinking, okay, next goal is probably going to be the winner, and obviously it wasn't. But it was one of those games where it was a close game, and that goal kind of broke it open, so to speak.
Well, it's another play where the Jets were so successful last year as well, low to high. I mean, that's where, the Jets' approach has definitely been low to high. Get the puck in deep, get the puck low in the zone, find a guy who's higher up in the zone, the trailer on the play, if you will. And that's what Colin Miller is in this case. All the attention goes to, Perfetti, and it goes to, to a lesser extent to Ehlers. And then Miller is able to walk into the blue line, walk into the shot without being accosted by any of the Blues players. So low to high is a successful play for the Winnipeg Jets. It's also successful on their third goal, the third goal of the game for the Jets, the third goal of the period.
Which, by the way, Drew, was funny because right after you had tweeted saying, well, nothing is good. We've already got our shot of the game. Like, I don't know about that.
This is a pretty damn good shot also.
Nice shot.
Yeah, but the rules are the rules where, if you get your first as a member of the Jets, you get the Seagram shot of the game. Apologies.
No. The Miller clap bomb was the right choice.
Yeah, thank you, Ezzy. I appreciate that. The Jets make it 3-1 at the 17:40 mark of the third period. And again, it's another sort of low to high play. The Jets have the puck in deep behind the Blues net. Vlad Nemesnikov and Cole Perfetti sort of team up to win a puck battle, and then Perfetti feeds it back to Sandberg. Sandberg over to Kyle Connor. Connor joining the play late because he's just jumping onto the ice as part of a line change. Nobody accounts for him, and he's one of the best goal scorers in the league for a reason. He's to the right of Jordan Binnington, just at the face-off dot when he unleashes it. And it's a short side, absolute piss missile, if you will, beating Binnington to give the Jets a 3-1 lead. A great third period for the Winnipeg Jets, Ezzy.
Yeah, and you love to see this is Kyle Connor giveth and Kyle Connor taketh away, right? I mentioned in the first period, fails to clear the puck with Colton Parayko, which leads to the Brandon Saad goal. And there was a turnover, if I'm not mistaken, on that first Jets power play, right? Kyle Connor turned the puck over. I think he might have turned the puck over a couple times on the power play, but then he makes up for it. And that's what Kyle Connor can do. Look, he's not a good defensive player, guys. The metrics back that up. We've talked about that a lot on the Saturday show. He's not a good defensive player. If someone wants to argue with that, go ahead. But I think most people are going to agree with that. But he happens to be as Drew mentioned, a pretty damn good offensive player. In fact, one of the best goal scorers in the league, right? And I just like that, Morrissey jumps up into the play about 10 seconds before this goal is scored, and the Blues are just kind of scrambling around in their own zone. I remember Braden Shen collided with somebody, it might have been Justin Falk, in front of the net. And yeah, it's again, like the puck comes to Nemesnikov. He does some good work to dig it out of the corner. goes to Cole Perfetti, and then Cole Perfetti again makes the nice pass to Sandberg, who you mentioned. Kyle Connor, it's like he just kind of like appeared, right? Like he teleported into that position because obviously he's not on the Nemesnikov line.
Right.
He came on for a line change, but just an absolute piss missile, as Drew said. But just wanted to throw that out there that I like how Morrissey jumped up into the play before that. And again, Perfetti just picking the right spots to make the right passes. And one of his best games as a Jet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, what does Cole Perfetti now have, Dave? He's got 7 points in his last 3 games for the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, this is a player, again, another guy who's playing with increased confidence. He knows that the team he has that longer leash now, that longer leash that he didn't have with Rick Bowness, because Rick Bowness is just not one to ever give that to young players. That's not something that should be in the back of his mind anymore, and he's proving it himself. I mean, he's just been in control out there. I mean, we know that his strengths are his vision, his hockey sense, his ability just to sort of slow the game down. And we've been seeing that the last number of games. And it's one thing to do that against the San Jose Sharks. I mean, on home ice, it's another entire thing to do it on the road. Not that the Blues are a world beater or anything. No one's going to say that they're a Stanley Cup contender.
They still have the edge, though.
Yeah, nonetheless, it just context to some degree matters, and I think the context of doing this on the road when your team's trailing 1-0 after a lousy 20 minutes matters when you talk about Cole Perfetti's performance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's just steadily getting better, and that's what Scott O'Neill observed when we talked to him, and that line collectively has gotten better, and it's important because we've talked about it. As good as Connor Hellebuck is, and as good as the defensive structure and the improved special teams, you need that line to be going. It's critical. And look, the other player we haven't talked about much, and he looked a little bit snake bit today, was Gabriel Velarde. I mean, he had that one chance. Was it on the power play where he took was it an Ehlers pass and hit him in the skates? And normally he'd get that was kind of almost a tap in or a redirection for a goal for him. And he's a little bit snake bit right now. And it's funny because again, he's a guy who's got a lot of pressure, puts a lot of pressure on himself, right? And so,
contract year. Yeah.
Well, contract year. And like I said, look, Neil Pionk in a contract year, 6 assists in 6 games, not too shabby. And he's looking reborn alongside Dylan Sandberg. Again, we have Coach Arneal's comments up on our Instagram about that duo and what he's seeing from Sandberg himself, as well as what he's seeing from Pionk and Sandberg as a collective. But to me, like I said, that's you're still seeing some players who you want to kind of see break out a little bit. And for right now, Gabriel Velarde is the one. But if he's not going, and yet I guess the point I'm making or trying to make is the fact that even without him going right now, boys, you still have the team at 6-0. You still have got the second line now clicking. You've got every one of your guys is 5, 6, 7, 8 points right now. So you've got contributions across the board. So you can kind of afford to have to carry him a little bit because the team is, again, collectively working. And that to me is key. And that's what you saw in this game. So sure, it's not great that they're not getting contributions solely from that top line. But like I said, it's never going to be one guy, or one line throughout the course of 82 games.
Well, and I wanted to mention one thing, Drew, just quickly before we get to the third period and the last goal, I guess. Wanted to make a note of before Connor's goal. I mentioned this earlier. We talked about Rasmus Kupari's play. He had the best, if you like Corsi 4 numbers, he had the best Corsi 4 to even strength for the Jets. But I made a note here. Borgen Barron had a really good 2-on-1 scoring chance passed by IFL, and then Kupari also set Barron up for another good scoring chance. So it's that notion that when the Jets are at their best, it's when they come at you with waves, right? You hear Kevin Sawyer. Kevin Sawyer gets excited on the broadcast when you start to see, one good shift after another. But really, that's when the Jets are at their best, when they're not reliant on one line or one or two players. When the fourth line has a good shift, the third line follows that up.
Well, what did it say? I mean, they talked about it during the second intermission. Our buddy Craig was on with Sarah, Craig Button and Sarah. He said, look, the Jets' top line, has something like 10 goals combined, and then the second and third lines, and whichever one you want to say is the second or the third doesn't really matter. Each of them is, combined for 7 goals as well through the first, 5+ games, now 6 games of the season. So you're getting that balanced scoring. You're getting the scoring from lines 1 through 3, and while you might not necessarily be getting the scoring from the fourth line, they're winning handily all of their minutes as well.
And what I said to Dave, or I might have said that to both of you guys right before we went live here. I just thought the Braden Shen line got absolutely torn up, and often they were matched up against the Scheifele line, but oftentimes they were matched up against the Nemesnikov line. Shen was playing with Dylan Holloway, who obviously they acquired from the Oilers, and Matthew Joseph, who had a really good. Matthew Joseph dangled Dylan DeMello. If you guys remember that,
yes.
we don't see DeMello dangled like that.
I think
very
that was in
often.
the second period, right?
It was in the second, right? But for the most part, I mean, this was just a game in which the Jets took over after a fairly slow first period, and they just imposed their will to steal a Mendelism. That's what the Jets can do. And the Blues, even though they've got some decent players, like for me, like I was telling you guys this, like, the Kyrou Thomas Saad line obviously was the Blues' best line tonight, and they often are. But after that, I mean, the talent really starts to fade away, and this team just isn't very deep. So, again, they're 4-3, and they're sticking around early in the playoff race. But I just thought the Jets were the much better team, especially in the second. I mean, it wasn't even close, really.
The reason why the Joseph brothers were feeling it was because they dressed up for their Blues Halloween costume as the dudes from White Chicks. So that is, of course, why they were feeling it in today's game.
That's why you watch the Illegal Curve post-game show, folks, because Dave Manu comes up with gems such as that one.
That's important journalism right there.
Thank you.
You're right.
I thought so. I mean, come on, that's one of the most.
That's why his nickname is Pulitzer. Ginsburg's nickname is Compost, and Minuke's nickname is Pulitzer.
That's one of the most important movies of the century. For
like Woodward and Bernstein, Dave.
Yeah,
basking in the ambience, Drew.
You guys are something. You guys are something, all right. The Blues make it 3-2, 5 minutes into the third period. Brandon Saad gets his second of the year, second of the game, assist to Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas. It's a good shot by Kyrou, and Brandon Saad is able to sort of evade Josh Morrissey. Morrissey is unable to tie up the stick of Brandon Saad, and Saad deposits the rebound past Connor Hellebuck. And with 15 minutes to go in the third period, it's a 1-goal game. Opportunistic for the Blues, because I thought the Jets, even to start that third period, in the first 5 minutes of that third period, the Jets had a couple of opportunities where they were close to making it a 4-1 game. Instead, the Blues jump on their scoring chance, and Saad is able to pull that team to within 1 goal.
Yeah, and there was a lot of pressure, and you expected a pushback, and that's what happened on this goal. You mentioned Brandon Saad was all over the ice tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe the Blues' best forward. That line, as we talked about, was the best line. But Brandon Saad goes in there, digs the puck up alongside Jordan Kyrou, and it's just a really nice pass. And again, like, this was a goal that you can't really break down too much. Like, Hellebuck, he might like to have it. But again, Saad scored a lot of goals in his career, and this is just a nice feed. I think it was Kyrou. I couldn't remember if it was Thomas. Kyrou fed him the puck, and it was, again, like, this is a shot from, what was it, maybe 15 feet, 20 feet.
Yeah, it was a good scoring chance and a good save by Hellebuck, but and the rebound is there, and just Morrissey isn't able to get his stick on the rebound before Saad is.
Yeah. So I mean, sorry. Yeah, you're right. It was Thomas to Kyrou took the shot, and then it was Saad got the rebound. Sorry, let me get that one correct here. But it was just kind of like a combination of lots of pressure on Morrissey and DeMello, and just good execution, and a nice kind of quick strike by the Blues. And again, like, we didn't see a ton of that throughout the game. Like, it was kind of few and far between. But I think the most important thing is that the Jets limited the amount of high danger chances in this game. Like, if you were to look at, I think, high danger chances, they only got maybe a few in the 3 I'm counting in the third period. 15
so
total.
the high danger chances over the course of the game were 15-8 in the
which is
Blues'
surprising.
advantage.
But they only had 3 in the third period, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, it was one-sided in the first period with the high danger chances, 7-2.
Quite the one though in the third period.
Well, the one in the third period, yeah. So let's talk about that. Connor Hellebuck, made the key saves that he needs to make. I didn't think he was over. I thought the Jets did by and large, did a pretty good job in that final 15 minutes after the Blues pulled within one, that to one, make sure Connor Hellebuck could see the puck, and two, to make sure that it wasn't, extended shifts in their own zone. And they did a fantastic job killing the Dylan Samberg puck over glass penalty. That was a huge factor.
Hold on, Drew. If I could just interrupt. No. Nashville has won a hockey game.
Oh, wow. There you go. That is the breaking news there.
4-0 over Boston.
4-0 over Boston. Can't predict puck, as the old cliche goes. But Samberg at the 11-10 mark of the third period takes that puck over glass penalty. And the Jets just really did a fantastic job on that penalty kill. I think the Blues maybe had the one shot early in the power play, and then after that the Jets just were the better of the two teams. They killed they killed the puck out of their own zone, and they
Blues
prevented
couldn't
the Blues
get set up, Drew.
from even getting set up.
Dylan Samberg was an absolute beast tonight. Like, I know anybody who's listened to the show knows that, and I don't really care because he's a great hockey player. So I don't care if people get sick of us talking about how good Dylan Samberg is. But that was a big concern going into the season in training camp, right? Could Samberg, establish himself as a legitimate top four defenseman? And yes, it's only been 6 games, Dave. But I think, he has shown that he's very capable of playing 20 to 22 minutes or whatever, per night. So I thought he was excellent on the penalty kill. I mean, we know the usual suspects are out there on the penalty kill, and you're right. I mean, that was a huge part. That was a late power play. What was there, like 7 or 8 minutes left or something like that?
10 minutes or so.
Yeah, 10 minutes. There you go. And not only it's one thing to kill off the penalty, but it's the way that you kill off the penalty that gives you the momentum back, right? We always talk about that. So again, the Dean Chanouth power kill comes through again, right, Dave?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, and the momentum and that's what he talked about when he spoke to us. I don't know if I think it was Friday, and after practice, they gave Scott O'Neill a little bit of a break from us, and then we spoke to Dean. And one of the things he talked about is you don't want it to just be something that kills the other team's momentum. You want to be able to draw something from it yourself. And I think we saw the result of that tonight, is that St. Louis had nothing, and then the Jets were able to really try and kind of close out that game, other than that one glorious chance that the Blues had with 47 seconds left, or maybe just around a minute, whatever it was. Yeah. And it was, I tweeted from the IC account. I don't know how it stayed out of the net. I mean, I know the answer. It's Connor Hellebuck, but he's a pretty good answer.
Yeah. And again, Samberg was right there too, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And Saad didn't get, or pardon me, it wasn't Saad, it was Shen. Didn't get all of it. But Hellebuck had the pad there, and he still had to be in the right place, right? So it was a huge save.
Yeah, he stretched himself out to the limit, got his skate and his toe on the puck. But you're right, Braden Shen certainly didn't get all of it, but that's just Connor Hellebuck doing Connor Hellebuck things. It's a privilege for the Jets to, of course, have him, especially at times like we saw last year, where they don't need him to be making those saves 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a game. They need him to make that one key save or 2 key saves in the course of the game. And he steps up for the team when they need him the most with 40 seconds to go. And then after that, the Jets did a really nice job of keeping the puck out of their own zone. The Blues weren't able to muster any further scoring opportunities after that. And the Jets will leave St. Louis and head on their way to Seattle with the 3-2 victory, and to improve to 6 wins, 0 losses on the season, the sole undefeated team in regulation time in the NHL. Just a tremendous effort by the Winnipeg Jets. 12 points in the bank, and no matter what else happens, just banking those points makes a huge difference in how you have to perform over the final 75 plus games of the season. Anytime you can rattle off 6 wins in a row, it's a good feeling to have for your team, and the Jets are feeling good as they win game 1 of this 3 game road trip. We come back on the other side of the break. We'll have some post-game comments from the Jets dressing room, much more shenanigans and foo-for-ah that you come to expect from us here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's presented by our friends at Play Now. Don't go anywhere. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on a Tuesday night.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Shortly after 10:30 in the evening or at night or whatever descriptor you want to use to describe the time, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you.
I prefer a sundial.
Okay. Do you have a sundial?
No.
He goes to the Assiniboine Park. He goes to the English Gardens at the Assiniboine Park, and he just uses that sundial.
Okay, that seems convenient.
Exactly. I use that one.
You just found out there was a sundial at Assiniboine Park literally 4 seconds ago.
100%.
You had no clue there. You still don't know where it is at Assiniboine
What a
Park.
sundial is, and I certainly didn't know that there was one at Assiniboine Park.
Just wanted to make sure on that front. We're next in action, of course, on Thursday night. The Jets head to Seattle on this road trip. They meet the Kraken. So post-game on Thursday night is going to be a late one, right around 11:30, thereabouts. It's going to be a late night, but we'll be here to talk about the Jets and the Kraken as the Jets look to make it 7 wins in a row to start the season. So be sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Be sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Be sure to smash the like button, and that way you'll remember and be sure to join us on Thursday night for the Jets and the Kraken and the Illegal Curve post-game show. One play I want to mention that we didn't mention in the game recap is Cole Perfetti's stick lift on Brandon Saad. That came late in the third period when the Jets were scrambling a little bit in their own zone. Here's the quote.
Didn't he?
I
Pretty
don't
sure
know
as he mentioned it.
Okay, well, in any event, if as he mentioned, here's the quote.
I'm not going to take it
Cole.
away from you, though, Drew.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Here's the quote from Cole Perfetti, this courtesy of our buddy Jamie Thomas. Quote, it was one of those ones where you just kind of see the play develop, and I thought the guy was probably going to pass it back to him because it looked like it was probably backdoor. I tried to get as much strength under it and lift his stick as hard as possible, and luckily it worked out. That's that vision from Cole Perfetti. We talk about the vision when he's got the puck on his stick. This is the vision in the defensive zone where he makes this great play to keep a scoring opportunity away from the Blues, and the Jets were able to relieve the pressure by getting the puck out of the zone as a result of Cole Perfetti and his attention to defensive detail in this instance.
I just wanted to mention one thing. Good quote there, and it was a fantastic play by Perfetti, and that's what we talked about. Everyone's going to remember the 3 assists and see that just by looking at the scoring summary. But he was really solid defensively, and we've always known that he's a good, solid defensive player. But that one was particularly noticeable. Like that was. If defensive plays could be on the highlight reel, like that would be one of them, right? I just wanted to mention one thing. Earlier I fact checked myself. The Jets have actually lost in Seattle. They're 3-1, but the Jets have shut out the Kraken twice. So I mean, 3-1 is still a good record. I wasn't that far off.
No, but you were one loss off, is what.
Yeah, exactly. I was one loss off. A couple marbles short as well, but.
Like when you go and use the sundial, you might be an hour or 2 off as to what the time actually is.
But
it's a good effort.
That was good.
Close.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, hopefully the Jets can keep it going and make it 7-0. And the point is still that the Jets have had a lot of success in I think it's called the Emerald State, right?
Yes. Washington
Emerald
State?
State?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, look at you guys.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Yes.
I still think that's a crime against humanity.
Best intro ever.
Well, it isn't yet, as we still got to tweak it a little bit, but for right now, it's pretty good. Not really a ton of Moose news. I was down at practice today. I had a chance to check things out. Chaz Lucius practicing. That's good. Talk to Coach Mark Morrison about him and the 2021 first rounder. Played his first game of the season. His first game in almost 10 months was against Grand Rapids. He played on Saturday. Didn't play on Sunday. That's part of that ice time management that I've been talking about for the last few weeks. And but all part of the plan. And he's feeling good. He was skating today. Look, regular uniform. So that's good news for Jets fans that he feels good. He's happy. He's excited to be playing hockey again. If you didn't see that interview, we did the chat with him. It's on our YouTube channel. Of course, don't watch it while we're talking right now, but good things from him. He looks really good. His shot is really good. Like he's a very skilled player, and he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
To stay healthy.
Well, but that's what he said to me today. He said something to the effect of, I'm going to prove people are wrong for doubting. To the effect, not exact, not a direct quote. If you want the direct quote, check out IC Dave because I tweeted it. I just don't recall it exactly. But the point is that he is a very exciting Jets prospect that people forget because of all the injuries. And if he can stay healthy and this is a productive year for him, he's going to be a prospect, I think, that is worth taking note of. So, good for him that he came through his first kind of test as healthy. One player who didn't, and T. Conapoli, I apologize for having to relay this news for you. Although I did talk to Ty afterwards, but he wasn't on the ice today. He was supposed to play in Saturday's game, was a late scratch, didn't play on Sunday. And then Mark Morrison said that he had just did something where he was like stretching, did something to his back. So he wasn't able to play. He says, I talked to him, he says it's fine. But again, like I said, it'll take a few days to kind of get ready to go.
Nothing too serious.
No, but to that idea, because the Moose are about to play in their home opener to kick off their 10th season back in Winnipeg. This is, of course, the celebration of the 25th year of Moose hockey. As he can't believe it's already been 25 years.
Are they going to bring back Greg Pankowitz?
I don't know if they're going to bring him back, but I can tell you right now that they're going to be celebrating it. We're going to, of course, have Moose tickets to give away to anybody who wants to go to games. Not anybody, but we'll have tickets in the Illegal Curve Zone. We usually have about 4 tickets per game to give away. So we'll start doing that Thursday show. So look forward to giving away tickets so folks can go and check out the prospects of tomorrow well, technically now Saturday. And one other thing of note to mention, Kevin He, the 2024 fourth rounder, who is
I knew it was coming.
Tearing up the OHL as he was leading the OHL in scoring as of like a few days ago. He's now dropped a little bit. He was named the 19th captain of the Niagara Ice Dogs, and he's been really effective. 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points in like 7 games, I think. The last 2 games he was held
red hot to start the season. And he's not only the captain of the Niagara Ice Dogs, he's also the captain of the all pronoun team.
A very rare team. It makes the all food team look like it's an everyday sort of occurrence. And the all pronoun team is a whole new thing.
He'll be facing off against Colby Barlow on Thursday night. So Colby Barlow, who of course scored his first goal and an assist after Craig Button on Saturday, as he said, Colby Barlow will be fine. Barlow the next, yeah, he got the button bump and he scored a goal and an assist. So Barlow versus He versus Barlow, however you want to look at it. But it should be a good one on Thursday night between Niagara and Oshawa.
His nickname's got to be He-Man, no?
Well, if it isn't, it is now.
It should be.
It should be. That's a very reasonable nickname. I don't think that's too far out of the realm of possibility. I want to make mention, again, let's see if I can blow this up, make this a little bit bigger here.
Load up.
On Monday, we are going to be, hang on, that might be too big. There you go. On Monday, we are going to be live on location at 12 noon at City Place. We're back there. We had such a good time there during the playoffs last year that we're back at City Place on all those dates that you see on the screen. But in particular, this coming Monday, 12 noon, a special noon hour broadcast getting you set for the Jets and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if you're in the downtown area on Monday, come spend your lunch hour with us at Illegal Curve. We're going to be in the food court at City Place, 12 noon on Monday, October 28th. All those other dates as well. We'll keep reminding you about that. We're really looking forward to being at City Place on Monday for the Jets and the Leafs. Always a good time when those two teams get together, and we'll get you all set for that this coming Monday. So be sure to join us then. Be sure to, of course, also join us on Thursday after the Jets and the Seattle Kraken.
It's going to be a late one.
Going to be a late one. Get some sleep now, right around 11:30 p.m. Pardon me, on Thursday for the Jets and the Seattle Kraken as the Jets look to make it 7 wins in a row. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their support, the title support of this program. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. And of course, a big thank you to our other sponsors. They make this show a possibility. They make the Saturday show a possibility. They make the website a possibility. That's our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, Boston Pizza, and Seagrams. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Jets win. They make it 6 in a row, 3-2 tonight in St. Louis. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, if you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe, leave us your feedback. That's what we want you to do while you listen to us. Thanks, everyone, for joining us until Thursday at around 11:30 p.m. We wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.